Hi everyone. Is this already on? We're good. Okay. Well, I'm actually extremely honored to be here. I was saying to myself, actually, one of the things that I asked myself in the car was like, I never asked him, could I use a scripture? So I was like, how are we going to work around this? Because I don't know if I was going to be able to. And I mean, of course, to follow the powerhouse. I'm not even sure how I'm next, but I'm going to do what I can. But she really just gave us a lot of great nuggets on purpose. That's stuff that we all need to feed off of. I was back there taking notes because sometimes you just need to be reminded and have a refresher, like go back to make sure my why is still intact. That my why is, I'm doing everything out of my why. So thank you for that. I needed it. But we're gonna jump on into the business, the strategy portion of having a business. So a little background on me. I have a company called Vision Birthers. I started it 3 years ago. It's basically strategies and solutions for the little guys, because that's kind of where I know I was, and I feel like I'll always be. And most importantly, that's where you are when you need help. I started off just planning conferences for pastors because I thought that was like, I love going to church. I was organized, and most visionaries aren't. So I was like, great, this seems like a pretty easy thing, and it turned into everything but that. And I thank God for that. It allowed me to really be able to kind of open my mind, open my perspective to be this thing that I used to kind of feel really nervous to say, but now I say it very boldly. When people ask me, well, what is Vision Birthers? Why Vision Birthers? And I say, I'm like a midwife, but I'm a midman. Because really what I do is, because strategy is my passion, I sit down with people. Generally, they're either at their homes on Skype or on the phone, and I come into your home and I help you push out and birth what's in front of you. So I really am kind of like a midman or a midwife in so many words. But started my business. I got about 5 books. I love books. I love to read. I understand the gems of life are locked up in books. Yeah, so that my company now does websites, graphics, all that kind of stuff. But my big thing is strategy. I love helping people connect the dots. I realize that that's where most people fail, is the inability to connect the dots, to see that everything actually does work together. Every situation, as we can see, pain, everything that you go through really does work together, and it really does work together for your good. So we're gonna kind of jump in because I'm a pretty interactive person. I want you guys to say this with me. Say, I am a solutionist. Say it with me. I am a solutionist. That's the one thing that every business owner needs to remember every single day, probably every couple hours, that you are a solutionist. You're not starting a business, or you don't have a business just for the fun of it. You are answering the question that somebody is looking to have answered. When I realized that my business was not just me helping people do stuff, I was really answering questions that they've had for life. It transformed my processing and how I viewed what I had. What I've learned in kind of strategizing with business owners is that they just don't take themselves seriously. And it's not because what they have is not good. They just don't realize the true power of what they are and what they're doing for other people. So we're going to jump on into this. So now that I'm clear to use scriptures, one of my favorite scriptures when it comes to business is Proverbs 29:18. Where there's no vision, the people will perish. We hear that, we see that, but that is something that is so transformative, especially when it comes to business. Because when I see, in the Bible it says no vision. Of course, every business needs to have a vision, a plan of some kind. But everywhere there's a vision, there's always going to be a strategy. I know so many people who launch out, because I did it myself quite a few times. And honestly, if I'm not careful now, I'll do it again. I'll launch out with a great idea, but I have not taken the time to formulate a strategy. And that's where we fail. I have a philosophy that I really do believe if I can teach people how to fail first, winning should be easy. But it makes sense if you really think about it. Like, if I know everything not to do, I just don't do what I know I'm not supposed to do, and I'll win. But that's one thing that I want you guys to really take down. Wherever there's a vision, there is a strategy. Because of what we do is faith-based and is God-centered, we have to remember that God is not, we know him to be Jehovah Jireh, he provides. And a lot of times we limit that just to being like for your bills or childcare, but he's also the God of information. He will always provide you information for what it is that you're supposed to carry out. You know why? Because he wants it done in the earth more than what you do. I know you love it. I know you have blood, sweat, and tears in it, but guess what? God wants it in the earth 10 times more than what you do. That's pretty powerful, isn't it? Yeah. Say, I am a solutionist. So I'm going to answer 2 questions. One of the things that I know as a business owner, there are a lot of barriers that just come with what we do. Nobody really talks about the mental battles of the entrepreneur because it's a war zone. Every day is a war zone. She talks so eloquently about budgeting your time. That's really important when you're a business owner, because when you have all the free time to do what you want to do, and when you don't have the free time to do what you want to do, you will overcompensate for the time that you have. So you'll work too hard. And so you'll work so hard that or you're trying to make money, you're trying to build your business, but then your personal life will begin to fail. Your family will begin to fail because you're not able to be with them. You know, all those kind of things really do take a toll on what you're building. But some quick ways that we're going to go through how to overcome mental barriers that will prevent you from the monetization phase of your business. That's actually the question. How to overcome mental barriers that will prevent you from the monetization of your business. Your business is designed to make money. You got that? Like, your business is actually designed to make money. If you are in a holding pattern where you're not seeing any kind of financial progression and it's been a couple years, you may need to go back to your why to figure out if this is supposed to be a business, or potentially seeing where you sit. Are you sitting in the wrong seat? One thing that I do know, we see it a lot in churches that when you desire to be the senior pastor and you don't get your way, you go and start your own church. A lot of us have done that with our businesses. Sometimes we were supposed to submit in and be the number 2 or the number 3 for someone else, but because it wasn't what we wanted, we went and started something prematurely or outside of the timing. So definitely kind of remember that. But the best way to break through your mental barriers when it comes to monetizing your business is to honestly identify that there is a barrier. A lot of business owners, and I'm speaking from a place of transparency, we get really lost in the clouds and lost in what we have, and sometimes we don't realize that I'm terrified. I am terrified about this business. I am terrified about this thing that is in front of me because it is much bigger than me. I don't see how I'm going to sustain it. I don't think I'm smart enough for it. I don't even see where the first resource is going to come from. I can't even begin to tell you how to pitch myself to the first client. Like, I have no idea how to do this. No matter how many books you've read, no matter how many people you've talked to, you have to identify the fact that, hey, you know what, I'm scared. For most of us, we are the first ones in our family, so there's no blueprint for this in our bloodline just thus far. But it's like, guess what? The best way to beat fear is to identify, yo, I'm scared. I'm a little nervous. I'm actually shaking. But one thing that I coach people all the time to do is that you are permitted to be scared. You are permitted to be nervous, but you are not permitted to stop. You are permitted to be scared. You are permitted to be nervous, but you are not permitted to stop. One thing that I do know firsthand, even from a spiritual aspect, but definitely even in business, you'll never be able to conquer what you don't know. If you don't know what's going on, I guarantee you'll never be able to conquer it. You know why? It's because your mind is not processing what's really in front of you. It's very practical, but it's very powerful. The only thing that I believe stops a business owner and stops a business from making money, I think let me not say the only thing, the most powerful or the biggest hurdle is just fear. I know it sounds so common. I know it sounds so simple, but I really do believe it is just fear. You know why? Because fear stops absolutely everything. There are 3 C's that I firsthand have allowed fear to kill with me, but I've also determined to not let it kill with me anymore. Fear has killed my creativity. It has destroyed my connections. And most importantly, it is like went to war on my confidence. Think about how often fear has gripped you, and what did it do? It made you stop talking to people. It made you stop working to connect. It made you stop trying. It made you stop brainstorming. It made you stop kind of tapping into whatever your source is to kind of go to the next level. It made you stop doing that. And lastly, it stopped you from building connections or utilizing your connections. A lot of us are starting businesses and they're failing because we are not utilizing what God has already put in your life. When you really begin to kind of shift your perspective on what you see and what's around you, we have to identify the fact that God just doesn't give you people. He staffs your life with what you need in that season. A lot of the things that I've done so far in business, I have not had to go outside of my phone, my contact list in my iPhone. When it came from finding a graphic designer, when I couldn't figure out how to do it on my own, when it came from trying to make updates to a website, when it came from me planning my first business conference, everything that I did came right out of my phone. But it made perfectly good sense, because if God loves me and God has given me something that is so much bigger than me that I don't even know how I'm going to do, why would he have not staffed my life with absolutely everything that I need? So as business owners, please, I'm encouraging you, use your connections. You're connected for a reason. You are not just connected to the source, you are also connected to resources that are readily available for you. One thing that I've seen wholeheartedly, and I think Mark is a great testimony for that, when he launched out and just dropped the idea of the Business Academy, people began to sow into that. And look where we are right now. And I'm pretty sure this is going from city to city, and this is going to be something that's going to take off, but it's all because the connections were already there. But if fear would have stopped him from just saying, hey, I got an idea that I don't really know how this is going to work out, boom, we wouldn't even be in this room today. And also, we wouldn't even be able to be a part of this first wave of people who are affected by this in a powerful way. Make sense? So please remember that fear stops confidence, creativity, and your connections. One thing I have to ask business owners, because I do a lot of strategy and consulting, I simply just say this: hey, do you believe in your product? Hey, do you believe in your service? That's something that we have to identify and deal with as business owners. Sometimes we know that our stuff just isn't good. It's like, and especially in that season of building, when you were learning, you were still navigating through, you were just kind of like, hey, you know what? This is probably just not good. Accountability, Monica mentioned it so much. Having the right people around you, not just for prayer, but ask them like, hey, if you did not know me, would you buy this? If you did not know me, one of my favorite things is I always ask clients, okay, ask your best friend, if you did not know me, would you buy this? Would you shop here? Would you trust this website? Sometimes that needs to be your barrier. That needs to be your buffer system. Would you buy this if it wasn't you? Because it's so easy to just fall in love with what you do and to see the bigger picture and see the potential. But sometimes we got to remember, hey, this is where we are right now. Let's go back to the drawing board because I need work. My product needs work. My presentation needs work. So that's that. Consumer reports. Also, one thing when it comes to strategy as business owners, remember this. People don't usually purchase anything until after the 7th time they've seen it. 7 times. So, and I'll be very honest. So with me, because I love what I do, I have a hard time sometimes being the aggressor that I need to be able to grow my business and to tap into markets that I believe I'm supposed to be in. But entrepreneurship and business owners, we have to be aggressive. There's a concept called guerrilla marketing where, perfect example. So you guys know when you go on Facebook and then on the side panels, you see like your ASOS ad, you see the flights that you were looking at, you see all these things. That's guerrilla marketing. It's intentional, it's aggressive, because you know why? They're determined for you to make that sale. And so what they're going to put it right there where everything is. Like, okay, you got off Delta to go to Facebook to be nosy, and guess what? Delta followed you right there to Facebook because Delta wanted you to spend that money there. That's aggressive. But business owners, we have to be aggressive. That's one of the things I have to like almost put my foot on most of my clients' throats. Like, listen, you said you believe in you. You said you believe in what you have. Guess what? You have to make people believe in you. You've got to be aggressive. If you're not aggressive, you won't win. And this is just practical business advice you have, especially in the startup stage. Now, when you are like Beyonce and you can drop a CD overnight, whole different ball game. But 9 times out of 10, majority of us may not ever be at that level of influence. However, we can still make the same impact that she's making. We just have to take some practical tactics to make sure that goes through, to make sure that happens actually. So please remember to be aggressive, especially in your startup stages. Use your email list. Use your promotional ads. Use creative elements and marketing-wise that aren't going to break your pockets to be able to put what it is in front of you. Because guess what? You can grow your business and it can become extremely successful and you not be broke while doing it. You guys hear that? Like, you can grow a business and it be extremely successful and you not go broke in that process. But it all goes back to you believing in what you have, because if you can believe in what you have, you can stand up in a room like this and say, you know what, this is what I do, this is what I deliver, this is my turnaround time, this is what my prices are, let's work. That changes everything. But that also goes back to not working and operating out of that fear component, because fear will make you get into a room like this where you never know if your biggest investor is sitting in the back corner and you won't stand up and say what it is you do with confidence. Because if you think about it, nobody really likes somebody that's not confident. Like when it comes to dating. You don't want to date somebody that's kind of like, It's kind of like, whoa, okay, stay away, because you're not ready. But a lot of times that's the approach that we have taken as business owners. We've been very timid about the thing that we love the most. It's like we've been timid about the thing that we can say, oh my God, God gave me this. Well, why are you so timid about it? Be aggressive. When I was in school, they used to have a whole cheer about being aggressive. I just thought about it just now randomly, but it's like, funny how that just kind of came full circle, but you really just kind of have to do that. That's funny. Yeah. But you have to get to a point where you're okay being aggressive. How much time do I have? 'Cause I'm good? Okay. Being aggressive. The next thing I definitely want to talk about when it comes to you breaking the mental barriers, we know that words have power. We identify that, but we do forget that how much power words actually have. As I guess everybody in here has a business of some kind, right? Who has daily affirmations that they speak of or about their business each day? So we know that words have power, and we know that words have the ability to shape our reality, but yet we're speaking to everything in our life except the thing that we're putting our hands to. There are so many things that you could be speaking to, and some things would be shifting. I'm not going to turn this into a sermon, but you could be speaking to some things, or you're working on some things that you honestly, all you had to do was speak to it, and things would instantly begin to change. I'll give you guys as a testament. I have not had a drought in clientele. I left my job officially March 1st. And yeah, I've been having my business 3.5 years, but I've been doing it in addition to everything else. I left my job, and the first thing I said, God, will I have consistent clientele? But when I looked at my daily affirmations about my business, I have been saying for almost over 2 years now, opportunities are just sitting there waiting on me. So guess what? Now I'm living out the words that I said over my business. When it comes to your business, when you say the right things and those things start to happen, boom, now you have opened the door for your surplus. Many of us are trying to work into surplus, but we just need to speak into it. Like a lot of things shift and move when you begin to speak, and especially when you're saying the right things, because if you mix your passion with what you believe in and a little hard work, you can't tell me that God's not going to bless what it is you have, because we know that God didn't give this to you just for fun. He gave it to you because he wanted it to be a staple in the earth. When I remind myself every day, I say big dreams, big goals, big results. And I sit there and I look at that sheet of paper because it's on the back of my door, and I'm like, oh my God. I say this every day, and I'm like, man, this is a lot bigger than me. I'll never be able to do this on my own. I started to speak employees 1.5 years ago, and now I got 4. Because I was like, God, I love what I do, and I know that you've trusted me with this, but I'm not going to be the only one that loves it. I want somebody else to love what they do too, and I want somebody to love working with me. You know, and it's like, wow, now graduated from college, I've been able to afford 3 fresh out of college students, or adults now, jobs. And they're doing what they love to do. But it all started with my speech. My speech was the doorway for me destroying any kind of mental barrier that I had built, or that I allowed the perceptions and opinions of other people to build. It all came down, not with my hands, but with my words. Kind of powerful. I hope you guys are really hearing that, if nothing else, because I'm telling you, we don't have to turn this into a prayer service, but I have prayed certain things into my life, into my business, that I haven't really had to work really hard for. I'm like, you know what, God? Another thing that I want to say, that I do need to say this. Every day I remind myself and I remind God that my business belongs to you. I'm just the GM. Your vision is your will, your bill, your clientele, all of this belongs to you. You've just trusted me to manage this thing while I'm here. And because that has become like the true sentiments of my heart, when I wake up every day, I wake up not necessarily like a business owner, but more like a general manager. So it's like, you know what, I'm going to be on time to the living room, to my desk, because like I know God owns this thing. And I don't want you to come in and it's like, why are you not working? You know, something as simple as that. But it really, as practical, as funny as it is extremely practical. And it's not only just saving me, but it's opening doors for me. Because I know, okay, you know what? Get half dressed, get to the living room. Dress from the shirt up, because if it rings on FaceTime or somebody wants to have a Skype call in that moment, guess what? I need to be ready. Yeah. I need to be ready, because when people book these consultations on my website, sometimes they will go in there and they book it for 5 minutes later, and I'm like, okay, but I'm already dressed for it. I'm dressed for success. But it's like I'm using my words to shape the reality that I have. So please, if you need to kind of look in a place of direction, trying to figure out like where you sit in the seat of your business, maybe try not to look at yourself as the owner, and look at God as the owner, and look at yourself as a general manager. Hey, God, I'm just here to steward what you've trusted me with. I'm just here to navigate this thing, to move this thing, to drive. I'm just here to stir the ship, because at the end of the day, your name is on it. And because your name is on it, I'm not going to fail, but I'm going to make sure I do my part to make sure I push on. So the next thing I wanted to answer, 5 ways on how to monetize your purpose and your passion. 5 ways to try to 5 ways on how to monetize your purpose and your passion. I'm going to give you guys probably the most non-conventional one first, a not-for-profit or a nonprofit. Most people think, oh my God, I want to start a nonprofit. Or they, first off, they don't realize that a not-for-profit actually means not-for-profit. However, what you can do, especially when it comes to different things like this. So I helped a lady get a grant that now what she does, she loved to sew. She didn't want to be a designer. She didn't want to open up a material store. She just loved to sew, and she loved older people, I'm sorry. And so but also with her passion being those two, I asked her something very simple. I said, so how can you marry these two? She was able to realize that somehow, some way, going into, assisted living or elderly homes and sitting with them, teaching them how to sew became a place of therapy and a restoration for them. So now she has an entire a not-for-profit where she goes from assisted living homes to, not really shelters, but I guess assisted living homes or even in homes, and just sits and spends time with people that she loves to do. She loves to talk. But she's doing what she loves to do. She's teaching them how to sew and sewing at the same time. So not only has she had a chance to really engage in conversation, but she's also been able to give somebody who's probably on their last legs something else to love. They love the quilts they've made. They love the little blankets they've made for their grandchildren or for the babies to come. Like now, all these great things came out of her figuring out, okay, I have a passion. Let's marry this thing. She started as a nonprofit. Guess what? So now she's paid because she got a federal grant. She is paid from her grant to go and do this. Teach people how to sew, spend time with older people. Sounds crazy, right? But it just goes to show you how limitless the potential is. This woman whose passion was simply just loving to sew and older people, and now she's spending time with them. She got a grant, so now 5 minutes. She got a grant, so now she's getting paid out of the grant to do what she loves to do. Crazy, but it's like that's what people are able to do. So that I wanted to give you guys that one first. The second thing, actually start your business. I know a lot of business owners or aspiring business owners who have the solution to a lot of the world's questions, but they just never started anything. And not by way of putting a flyer up, actually going to the courthouse, getting, with your Secretary of State, filing, getting your business, getting your LLC. Please do those things. Because the last thing that I do believe is that God's going to extremely blow on what's kind of done out of order. It's in disarray. If you're not legal with the government, with your state, why would God give you $1 million worth of clientele? Because guess what? You technically at that point got a whole lot of legal issues and taxes that you're going to have to go to. So now it's going to even if your business begins to blow up, when the IRS comes knocking at your door, now you look like tax evasion, which they actually put you in jail for. So something as simple as that, starting your business officially on paper. It is not expensive to get your LLC. It is not expensive. You can go to your local Secretary of State website and get all of that. They can walk you through the process. You can have it done in 5 to 10 minutes. So please make sure you do that. The next thing of how to monetize your purpose and your passion, creating a product. I tell pastors every time I talk to them, if you're a pastor and you're preaching and you are going places, if you don't have a product table and a book of something or something on that table, you are doing yourself a disservice. I know firsthand as a pastor and have worked for pastors, they have a lot of experiences. They have a lot of things they live through. They're actually very intelligent men and women. They can package that intelligence and to create something that's long lasting that they'll be able to kind of basically make $1 and a difference additionally at the same time. So actually creating a product. If you have a cleaning company, for an example, you should have your own cleaning solution of some kind. You should not just be using, I don't clean up. Is it awesome? Sorry, I have a wonderful lady named Maria. She's amazing. But I told Miss Maria the same thing. I was like, you come here twice a week, but you're using things that you bought at the store. Why are you not kind of having your own things? You know how to make this stuff. I'm sure you know how to make this stuff by now. But thinking big, because Miss Maria, if she's going to all these homes, that's an opportunity for her to sell solutions and items to us. Because to me, I would buy it because it's going to smell like what it smells like when she comes through. It's going to be clean. I was like, you know what? Let me get a bottle of that and that. And now not only has she cleaned our place, but now she has made a little bit more money off of me. Actually having products that fit what you do. Of course, you can take the route of writing a book. I have been a writing coach. I worked for a publishing company for 2 years, and I started one last year. And I've been a writing coach for 3.5 years. I actually just got done taking my first large group of 25 people through how to write a book from beginning to end. We did a 60 days. And I realized that, after writing my own books, I have 5 books that I've written. My first book went to countries and to nations that I've never heard of that I can't pronounce. And I was like, wow, God, you took out, these are just text messages that were going to my alarm bells, and I packaged them. So I'm like, you know what? I know where I was when I first started my walk with God. I needed something that's going to be short, quick, and got to the point and helped me as an African-American man where I was. And so my messages to them ended up being my first book. And now I'm standing here like I don't even have 2,000, I don't think I have 2,000 friends or anything, but it's like I sold well over 3,000 copies of my book, all off of a book, simply off of text messages. You can write manuals if you are into doing hair or anything. If you can think of it, you can write about it. Remember that. If you can think of it, you can write about it, and guess what? Books sell. Now, wrap it up. Books actually sell. The next thing, of course, if there's a teaching, anything that you can teach from a plan, so you can sit in the seat of a teacher, you can take the course route. E-courses are really big right now. If I would have known what I know now, I could have skipped college and just took a few e-courses and got the same amount of knowledge. And guess what? That would have saved me a couple thousands of dollars in debt, and I would have been able to do what I need to do right now debt-free. So think about that. Don't forget that you have everything that you have is for a reason. And lastly, digital products. That's the day and age. That's the way to move right now. Digital products, whether it's an ebook, a podcast, the live shows. Do something digital. People love digital. Everything we do is on our phones, iPads, tablets. Everything is digital right now. Catch up to the trend. Find a way to create a digital product for you. It'll help you out because guess what? Digital products can sell. I have products on my website that just sit there. Sometimes people go on there and buy it. I'm like, oh, great. Thanks. Forgot that was up there. Then sometimes they don't, but guess what? I have the option to be able to make money off of something that I created through my life, and it's enhancing my life even further. So I think that I'm definitely out of time now. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I did want to make sure I asked. You ask later. Okay, perfect. Gotcha. Okay, well, I thank you guys for your time.